Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Lindsay and I crochet. I sell all of my crocheted items online on Etsy and then also in person in my storefront. My shop is called Lindsey's Lovies. This is going to be a video about the pros and cons of having your own crochet business. So kind of comparing it to other small business models or hobbies that you could turn into small businesses and kind of what's really awesome about crochet, what's maybe not as good. If you already have a crochet small business, I'm sure that this video will be relatable to you, and I'm interested to hear in the comments from you guys if you have any other pros and cons that I missed. I think that will be really fun to kind of think about. I thought a while, but I'm sure that I'm missing some, and I'm sure there's some from other people's perspectives that I didn't even think about. If you don't have a crochet small business, maybe you have a different small business, it might be fun to kind of hear how crochet compares to yours, and maybe if you just crochet but you don't sell your stuff. It might also be interesting for you to hear kind of what it actually looks like to run a business selling your crochet. Okay, I have my notes on my phone here, and I'm gonna probably itemize them on different sides of the screen. I'm gonna be like Shy Guy says, like so I think pros over here and cons over here. So we'll start with a pro. It's not messy, and some of y'all might be messy with it, not gonna lie. I'm messy with it, but it's not messy in the same way that painting or ceramics or like traditional art forms are messy. Like, I'm not sure what you would call this type of mess, but you're not covered in paint, you're not getting clay everywhere. Like, it's not like that. Now, you have to keep your yarn organized, but for me, it's a little bit easier. I have a little bit of ADHD, and I just don't want to be covered with paint. I don't want to worry about touching things. I don't want to worry about stuff drying. Like, this is an easier form of art for me. Okay, jumping to a con. Okay, it's very skill-based. So this just means that you have to learn how to crochet before you can start doing it. It's not a hobby like painting where you can just put paint on a page and be painting. You have to actually know how to do a stitch. Now, it's not like this massive thing you have to learn. Like, you can just learn how to start it and then how to do a single stitch and do that in a row, and you're crocheting, you know, but you do have to learn that one stitch and how to start. Okay, next pro is low startup costs. This is my favorite. I'm a little bit frugal, and so when I first started crocheting or decided I wanted to start, I was attracted by the fact that I could just go to the store and buy one hook and one ball of yarn and just start crocheting. That's all you need to get started. Other hobbies like sewing, for example, if you're not going to be hand sewing, you have to buy a sewing machine, and that's expensive. It's an upfront cost that you really spend before you even know if you're going to like it, before you know if you're going to be good at it, and it's a lot. If you're starting a business, you know, it's a lot to spend in the beginning. So crochet, just go get your hook and your ball of yarn and you're good. And a con, it can take a while to complete a project. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of crochet projects that are really quick. There's so many, but a lot of crochet projects also take a really long time. So I think like it's just because the range is so wide. You know, to do amigurumi, which is crocheting animals, like stuffed animals, or really just in the round, like anything that's spherical instead of flat, I feel like it takes a bit longer. Well, no, wearables take a long time too. I don't know. So there are some projects like a blanket. A blanket is going to take you several hours, like a long time. And you know, it's just not a hobby that's as quick always. I mean, you can definitely do quick things, but there's times where it can take a really long time to complete a project, just depending on what you're working on. I feel like that's with any hobby, but I feel like crochet specifically, just depending on what you're working on, it can take a while. Most of my lovies that I make take me probably about 2 hours, which isn't that long, but it's a lot of sitting, you know, for 2 hours. Okay, a pro. There's patterns for everything. So like if you're a beginner and you want to make the cutest thing in the world, all you have to know is how to follow a pattern and how to crochet, which is awesome. You know, in other hobbies, I would say if you want to learn how to make the cutest or best thing or this amazing thing you saw, like let's say sewing, if you want to make this cute little makeup bag, you may not really have the skill to make the makeup bag, but if you can read a pattern like pretty well and you can crochet, you can use any pattern and you can do anything, you know? So I think patterns are awesome. There's one for like everything out there. You have access to just so many things. So it's really cool to have so many resources, especially when you're a beginner. Con, people don't really want to spend enough money on crocheted items to make it worth your time, I have found. Now, in my opinion, there are a lot of people that buy them. There are a lot of people that do want to spend the money. I would say general population though, like sees it and they're like, I can get the same thing, like a stuffed animal for $15 at Walmart instead of like $60 that you're charging. And just because it took you 5 hours to make, I don't really want to spend $60, you know? There is definitely a target audience, a group of people that will spend the money, but I feel like there's also people that just don't see the value. There's people that think they can get the same thing cheaper. You know, a hat. They're not going to want to spend $30 if they can get a beanie from Walmart for $10. Don't come for me. I know there are people that will, which is why I have my own crochet business, but I think in general, it's a bit harder to, you know, convince people they should spend X amount of money on it when they can get the cheaper same thing, you know, somewhere else. Another pro, and this, okay, low startup costs and this one are my favorite. It's forgiving. Guys, it's like if you have never crocheted, you can make almost any mistake and you can take it out so easily, so quickly, and it's like it never happened. You can just start over, you can redo it, you can fix whatever you're working on, and it's so nice. Like sewing, for example, honestly, I still haven't figured out how to fix my mistakes, but like in my experience, you sew it wrong, it's like on there. You have to use like a seam ripper, and I still don't even know how to do that. But like, I think there's like painting, like you mess up your canvas, you can try to fix it, but it's not guaranteed. You can try to cover it up, but it's really difficult, you know. Crochet, you just pull it out and start over, you know. Another con, your hands. Your hands. Your hands are like a ticking time bomb and you live every day in fear of when you're gonna get arthritis, okay? There are so many ways to combat, like, you know, hand crimping, hand pain, and everything in crochet, but honestly, you're using your hands a lot and you're using them in like this position, which is like, that's a lot for like arthritis, carpal tunnel, so it's a bit nerve-wracking, but it is still worth it in my opinion. I think it's nice to keep your hands busy and all of that, but this is a con, so it's a con. Another pro, you can do it on the couch or on the go. This is awesome because it's more like side hustle power. Like it is the ultimate side hustle if you can do it while you are doing something else. So if you can be in the car with your friends and working on your side hustle or your business, that's like the ultimate thing. Like you're making money while you're having fun or doing things you would be doing anyway. So that's super awesome, you know, comparing that to ceramics, painting, sewing, those you cannot. Also just being able to do it on the couch, like you don't always have to be at your sewing machine, you know, very versatile. Okay, this is a tip, or not a tip, this is a con, and it's mostly for people that have a YouTube channel and maybe you're wanting to start a small business. It's hard to film long form content with crochet. It's not impossible, but I would say crochet is not super interesting to watch for a long time, whereas painting, you could watch someone paint a canvas from start to finish. It transforms, you know, in front of your eyes. You can see a lot of movement happening and things are changing. Sewing, you know, you're picking up the fabric, you're cutting the fabric, you can get all these different angles with what you're doing. Crochet is just the same thing happening over and over. So there's definitely ways you can try to spice it up. There's ways you can get different angles, you know, but it's the same thing. So it's a bit difficult. Like for me, I struggle with it. I struggle to make it interesting. I struggle to make it engaging. You want people to be watching for a long time because it's long form content. So a lot of my videos are not just me sitting there crocheting, but a lot of other small business videos are them, you know, working on their product. And so I kind of am missing that piece, and it's a little frustrating. Okay, this is a pro. It's kind of hard to put into words, but basically a lot of small businesses spend a lot of time working on product development. So like launching a new product. This involves a lot of trial and error. This involves, you know, so much upfront costs. You gotta buy new things, you gotta try them out, you make all these mistakes, you gotta figure out how to fix it. Crochet really, this touches on the patterns, but like you just have the pattern and then you can just launch a new product, you know? You don't have to go through all that. Now, obviously there's things like figuring out how to read the pattern. Maybe it's from a new creator that you're not familiar with the way they write them, or figuring out a confusing part in it that you just can't get past. You know, stuff like that, troubleshooting different yarn styles, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's nothing like taking a completely new product and trying to figure out how to make it and launch it and all of that. A little bit easier to launch new products, I will say. Okay, con. This is the last one for our pros and cons, and this one is a nightmare. Yarn inconsistency, okay? I hate yarn inconsistency. I buy the same yarn from the same brands and it will be amazing, and then the next time it's horrible. It is like I buy like a blanket yarn. So here, let me just grab one. So for my people that got it from my yarn mountain over here, people that don't crochet, this is the kind of yarn I typically work with. So it's like blanket, it's very fuzzy. You want this to be soft. You want it to be fuzzy. That's why you're buying it. So one is your customers also want it to be soft and fuzzy, and you order yarn online because that's super easy. They have all the stock that you need. You don't have to hop from store to store looking for the colors that you need. Super easy. The yarn arrives and it's not soft. It's super rough. It's just so disappointing. Like, you just placed this big order, you spent all this money, now you have to figure out how to return it and wait for your, like, this is materials you need to run your business, you know? And it's so inconsistent. It's really frustrating, and this happens with several brands. So yeah, really frustrating. I now do not order yarn online. It's so disappointing and so frustrating. I have to literally go to the store and feel it, which gives me a lot of color stock issues because my stores are always out of stock of the colors that I need. So I find this really frustrating. The other thing is that even if you didn't care about how soft it was, it can be really hard to actually work with if it's a bit rough. So I've had a few skeins that are so rough that it's the weirdest thing. When you try to pull your hook through, it like gets stuck. And it's just really weird. It like snags, it won't go through very easily. And it really is really hard to work with. So that's my pet peeve with yarn, and one of the worst cons, I think. Oh, another con that I thought of just sitting here is it's kind of a saturated market. And it's kind of saturated with the same things. I feel like this could be a bit controversial because people are going to be like, everybody has their own corner of the internet and everybody can sell. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there are a lot of people that are selling crochet, and there are a lot of people that are selling the same crochet that you're selling. Now, you might have your own little touch on it. You might, you know, have higher quality yarn. You might do this. You might do different colors. But like, at the end of the day, they might be using the same exact pattern for the same exact animal that you're using. They could do it in the same colors as you. They could do it in the same yarn as you, and it's the same exact product. So it can be a little bit saturated, but you just have to find a way to put your own spin on it. You have to find your own unique thing to bring to the table and, you know, really show people what makes yours unique, which is fun. All right, well, that is it. I didn't count, but in my head, it feels like there's more pros just because I love running my crochet business. I'm sure you all do as well if you have one as well. But yeah, I think the pros outweigh the cons for sure. It has been super fun. It's versatile. You never get bored. You can always do something new. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in one of my other videos. Bye!